So we're going to be unboxing this Denon X3500H receiver. This is what I decided to purchase. It's a 2018 model. It is a 7.2 channel full 4K Ultra HD receiver. It does have Wi-Fi capability and HEOS. There's a bunch of other technologies that this can support. It's all kind of listed here on the box, but I'll put a product link in the description so you can check it out. But really what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to do the unboxing, and then I'm going to show you how I did the setup. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video, just going to kind of warn you now, but I feel that this is going to be important because if you're shopping for a receiver and you decide on this, I found that there's not really many videos out there that support this type of unboxing and setup. So I'm going to go ahead and make this now. We're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to unbox and see what we get. Now, because of how I had to film this today, I do have autofocus on my camera, so the focus may go in and out a little bit. I do apologize in advance for that. All right, so we have our quick start guide, our read me first quick start guide, our AVR remote. This does come with batteries, I believe, but we have the remote. I do plan on having this set up with my Logitech Harmony, so not really too concerned about the remote. All right, then we have somewhat of an accessory bag here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside of it. All right, we have our Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antenna. This does also have Ethernet, so you could use Ethernet if you'd like, but we do have the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antenna. It does look like it's 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, which is cool. We have our AM and FM antenna. There are two antennas, one for FM. The smaller one is FM. This larger one is AM. If you do choose to have radio set up, that's fine. Looks like we've got some cable labels here. I did get cable labels with Crutchfield, so I may use those, I may not. It looks like some warranty information, and we invite you to join the Owners Club. This is funny. I always like this. So this is a bunch of cardboard or hard. It's not actually really cardboard. I don't know what this is. But it's like basically hard paper, and what this is for is to make a tripod for your Audyssey calibration. So it shows you how to set this up. I actually am going to just use a tripod. I'm not going to use what has come here, but if you don't have a tripod to hook your Audyssey mic into, you have this available. And then the Audyssey mic is here. So this is what we're going to be using to calibrate the room once everything is set up. We have some AAA batteries for the remote. And then we have the AVR. So let me go ahead and unbox this. Okay, so I got everything unboxed, which is good. It wasn't actually really all that difficult. This is a rather heavy receiver. Most AVRs, real good quality AVRs, have some heft to them. So this is a little heavy to handle around, just a heads up. Once I took off this packaging here, this little foam sheathing, the power cord was in here with it. And we're presented with the Denon X3500H AVR. So you're going to see that there is some product labeling here. Dolby Atmos, DTX-H, high-res audio, Audyssey, room correction, Audyssey LFC. Obviously it supports HDMI. This is 4K 60 frames pass-through on all the HDMI ports. It does support Dolby Vision, or compatible with Dolby Vision. It's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And then there's some product labeling up here. It's a 7.2 channel, 215 watt, technically peak per channel. I talked about this before, 4K 60 frame per second pass through on all the HDMI ports. It is HDR LHG compatible. It does have scaling capability for 1080p content to 4K. It does support AirPlay 2. It mentions that you can do a bunch of streaming services like Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Tidal, SiriusXM. It has Audyssey Multi-EQ XT32, which is really important for me. I wanted to have a good room correction software with my AVR. and it has a 3-year warranty, which is really nice. On the front of the device here, we have our source select knob, which has a nice little tactile feel to it. Our power button, a headphone jack, mic input for the Audyssey calibration microphone, an aux1 HDMI input if I wanted to plug anything from the HDMI port in the front, a USB input to connect some type of USB source. This the box does say on it that this is not meant to charge your devices, which I found interesting. We have a very large volume cable here. We have a very large volume knob here. Has a nice little tactile feel to it. And then we have some quick select buttons here in the front. We have our tuner preset for channel, zone 2 on or off, zone 2 source, dimmer for the screen here, a status button, and then 4 quick select buttons, one for the HDMI 1 input, HDMI 2, HDMI 3, HDMI 4, which can also be assigned to, like, this says HEOS Music. Okay, so that's the front panel of the AVR here. Now we're going to go around the back and show you the back panel. So we have our Bluetooth and Wi-Fi antennas here on the upper left and upper right corner, so those just get screwed in. And I'm going to start here on the left-hand side, work top to bottom from the left to the right. We have our remote control, so our IR blaster, in and out. There's an RS-232C cable here, a straight cable if you happen to need one of those. We have a trigger, a DC 12-volt trigger, so if you have something like a projector screen that you want to have triggered by the AVR, you can do that with this. We have our AM and FM antenna posts. Moving back up to the top, we have our digital audio in, which these say that they are assignable. So we have 2 digital audio ins, like an RCA connector for cable, satellite, DVD. Again, these are assignable. And we have 2 optical ins as well. Moving down, we do have an availability to connect a turntable here. It does say phono turntable, so left and right. I'm going to get to these here at the very bottom. I'm going to actually save those for last. Moving back up, we have our Ethernet connector. We have some video in, which are assignable. We have 3 RCA type connector video ins. We have a signal ground for the phono, for the turntable, if you need to ground your turntable, if you get some hum. We have then a bunch of assignable audio ins here. So we actually have 5 audio ins, RCA connectors, so those white and red RCA connectors. Moving back up to the top then, we have our HDMI inputs. We have 7 on the back. Recall that there's 1 on the front. So we have 7 HDMI inputs here. These are 4K, 60 frame per second pass-through, supports HDCP 2.2 from a copy protection perspective. We have then component video ins. We have one for DVD, media player, and it says here monitor. Again, these are assignable. And then we have our pre-connectors here. So we have a zone 2 audio, front, center, subwoofer. So we have 2 subwoofer connectors and surrounds. So front, center, subwoofers, surrounds, and these are pre-outs. So what that means is it's actually not going to be powered by the amplifier within the receiver. This would be for something if you have your own amplifier. Moving over then, we have our HDMI outputs. We have our zone 2, our main primary HDMI out, which is for the ARC audio return channel. We have a monitor 2. We have our connector for our power cord. And then we have along the bottom here our normal speaker cable audio posts. So we have a front right, front left, center, surround right, surround left, surround back, and surround back right, and surround back left. Now these can be used with banana plugs. They can be used by just connecting the bare wire if you want, but these are here. So we have a lot of stuff on the back of this AVR. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this actually in place, get the speakers connected. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start the setup process, and that's where the video is going to pick up next. All right, everybody. After about an hour to an hour and a half of wiring everything, doing some cable management and wiring the speakers and everything on the AVR, it's finally, quote unquote, set up. Now we actually have to run through the setup process through the AVR. So this is a first. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the television. So the AVR is powering on for the first time, so we're going to go through the setup process using the remote. It's going to walk us through configuration now. All right, so yes, I have all those items. Now it's going to talk about speaker setup. Speakers have been placed in their proper position. They have been connected with banana clips, actually. So this is just actually telling you how to connect speakers. This was all done with the power off. All right, so we've got a center speaker, yes. So I'm going to say that I connected to center. I am not using surrounds at this point. This is just a 3.1 setup. I don't have any height speakers. No top front. No top middle. No Dolby Atmos. It's a very basic setup here. I have one subwoofer. So far this is like kind of idiot proof, to be quite honest. This subwoofer has an auto/on position that needed to be turned onto, and the gain is set at the minimum, or the middle. So it's all set up the way that it needs to be set up. So we're going to try this out. Yep. 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 My dog did not like that. Oh, she did not like that at all. She's freaking out. Okay, so now we're going to go through the Audyssey calibration. So you can see that the Audyssey microphone is attached to a tripod. So that's the included Audyssey mic, and it's set up in the main listening position that we're going to have here in this particular setup. It's set at about ear height, and then it has a cable that we're going to plug into the AVR. The Audyssey mic is now connected. It does say to make sure that the mic is at least 20 inches away from the back wall of the room for each test. And we're going to have to be quiet here, so we're going to run through the Audyssey setup now. Okay, so I calibrated 3 listening positions. Because Audyssey wants the microphone to be no more than 2 feet away from that first listening position, I'm not going to be able to calibrate it for my other 3, I guess, listening positions. So we're going to continue through now with the setup. I'm going to actually select complete. But that's pretty crazy. That's about what I anticipated the lengths to be. Technology is insane. I'm just going to connect this to Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go ahead and come back when this is done. And this is really nice. What it's actually doing is I'm using my iPhone to get this connected to my network. I didn't have to enter a password or anything. I just went into my Wi-Fi settings and set it up as a new AirPlay speaker. So it's connected.
They should have nothing to do with domestic politics.
Yeah, we're going to turn on auto update. We're Eastern Standard. All right, so now we've come to the point where we're going to have to connect things to the AVR so it knows what to do. So we've got our Blu-ray player, our UHD Blu-ray player, our game console, and now we have to set up the Apple TV, which I have plugged into the media player box. So we're gonna go ahead and turn on the Apple TV. It's actually on already. Super. So that's going to be it for the inputs for this particular setup for now. I'm not going to share my data. I'm not going to do that for now. All right, it's saying that it is done. Okay, after a little troubleshooting, I was having some issues getting HDR to be enabled. It actually ended up being a TV setting problem. So I'm going to put on Handmaid's Tale and see if I can find a good episode, a recent one. So spoiler alert. I can already tell you this is a worlds better than a soundbar. Let me just tell you that. So, a couple things that need to happen. Yeah, I do need to go through the AVR and make sure the settings are all the way that I want them to. Make sure that, and I got to test out different content to make sure the speakers sound calibrated the way that they should. I need to make sure that all of my input devices are set up appropriately now with this AVR, and I also want to go ahead and make sure that I'm getting the right audio coming from these input devices so that it can take advantage of the 3.1 setup that I have. So I don't want it playing in stereo if it doesn't need to be playing in stereo. So that said, I know that this was a long video, but again, you know, there wasn't really many videos out there for folks to learn about how you know, how to set up the X3500H AVR from Denon. So I hope that you found this helpful. That is about it. So to just kind of zoom out here and show you the end result in the short term, we have our Klipsch 120SW, R120SW subwoofer. We have two R820F floor standing speakers from Klipsch, and then we have our R34C center channel speaker from Klipsch. It's going into this Denon X3500H AVR, and then playing out on the Samsung UN65KS9000 4K television. So this is going to be a great addition to my home theater setup. It is, again, a worlds different compared to the soundbar. The audio quality so far is amazing with just the 5 minutes that I played around with it. I can't really to see how things work out when I start playing, you know, 4K UHD Blu-rays or other content streaming with better audio. So that's about it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. If you enjoyed this, if you found this to be helpful, go ahead and like it and share it. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. So until next time, it's Reclaimer from 2XP Gaming. We'll see you soon, Internet.